Welcome to the Wild Hope Rising podcast. We're your hosts, Sunny Kane and Tammy Clotton, and we're so glad you stopped by. We want to help you be wildly you, and believe it or not, you're already her. We invite you to gather around the table with us. We'll help you move through your wilderness season, no matter how you got here. So lean in, let's ignite your purpose, and discover what you're made of. Buckle up, my friend. It's time for Wild Hope. Well, welcome back to the podcast, ladies. We are so excited for today's Hope Huddle, mostly because Tammy and I have not been just the two of us for a while now. And, you know, as we are recording this, we're just at the beginning of a new year, and that has given Tammy and I some time to really reflect on what we've been building here, what is being birthed through this community, these Wild Hope Rising, you wild ladies. Maybe you're wild, maybe you're a little bit wilderness, but you know what? We'll keep you. We're so thankful you're gathered around this table. Tammy, as you just do a quick reflection point in just what we've built, what comes to mind that you're just really grateful for?
Oh, goodness. Well, for one thing, I never planned on doing this. And so I'm grateful that God saw this ahead of time and that He started equipping along the way, and that I get to participate in this with God, with you. And I'm super grateful that we can talk to ladies and build this community together, because community building is really important to me. Mm-hmm. And so having you ladies around this table is so wonderful to me. And I'm just incredibly grateful for all of you that tune in and listen, and that we get to begin to do life together as we're walking through whatever season that we're traveling through.
Yeah. And we've heard from a lot of you since we started, and we can't tell you how much encouragement that brings us. There's something strange about calling a community something that Tammy and I are looking at each other on a Zoom screen, and we're praying our voices translate. So the way that we actually get community is when we hear back from you, that messages are landing. We love to hear what's happening in your lives. And, I was thinking that sometimes, God is in the mix when you can't really fully describe how something has been birthed. You heard Tammy say, well, I didn't really intend to have a podcast. That was like not her dream. And, it was mine. I did want that, but I had laid that down, and God, just one prayer at a time, began to lead us towards this. But we are going to take some of the things that Tammy and I have learned, some of the strategies that have worked behind the scenes with what God has been, whispering to us as this has been birthed. We're going to take some of those, and they won't be behind the scenes. We're going to bring them to you guys, because we care about forward movement in your life. And yes, you can even take forward moving steps in wilderness seasons, because sometimes even the decision to wait on God, even that is a choice for forward movement. And we want to help you rise and step. And we have just walked through the waters of some heavy stuff over the past several months. And so we're wanting to kind of move into how do we move towards that wide open, spacious life that we have been created for? And before we really dive in and give you vision on this, we just want to be really honest. When we started this, Tammy and I both have other gigs, turns out. I've got a job, Tammy's got a job, she's running an organization, and, we both have families. And yet we feel called to bring this Wild Hope community, these messages into the lives and into the ears of women. But what we know is, in order to get this out there, yes, we are trusting God. Yep, we're trusting Him. We're believing that there is not a marketing department on earth that could ever compete with the kingdom marketing department that is heaven. Right. And we trust that He can send people from the north, south, east, and west. And we also know that a lot of people are on things like social media, but the capacity for us to create these, produce these, all those things, and do social media, we're just being honest, we're stretched. And so we thought we'd bring to you women who are bought in and listening every week, if you are a social media lover and you go, I love social media, we have a brand, we have, all of that, of kind of the look of who we are, the sound of who we are, but we need help. And so if you are feeling a nudge and you want to help us bring hope to others, would you please reach out to Tammy and I. We would love to welcome women onto the team that brings this to the world. Anything you want to add to that, Tammy?
Well, I know that sometimes God is prompting you already. You've already been stirring. You've already been asking God what he wants you to do for the year. And all of a sudden, Sunny says this thing, and this is your jam. And we would love to have you on our team.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you be a carrier of hope, spreading this wild hope.
Yeah. Yes. So please reach out to us. If you're interested, you will find our information in the show notes. If you do not already follow us on social media, if you know me personally, you know Tammy personally, just reach out and let's have a conversation. With that, we're starting a new series at a brand new year. And Tammy and I, when we got together, I left so geeked out. I was on cloud 9 because I really feel like what we're feeling called to over the next several weeks is going to help women make shifts in their life.
For sure.
So here's what it is.
It is a fresh sound.
Yeah.
It's a fresh take, right?
And do you remember, if you rewind and you haven't listened, we said at the very beginning of what we were doing that we felt called to make a fresh sound in the earth. And we were talking about haunting sounds of hope and freedom. And so we lean into that with our new series for the next 12 weeks is Fresh Ground, New Sound. And we want you to take new ground in your life, step into new things that God has for you, have forward movement. And we believe that can only happen if we will tune our ears into a brand new sound. It's got to be something different, because if you were going to move forward in your life, my guess is you probably already been there, tried that, and in your own strength, it maybe didn't work so hot, right?
Right.
So if you're going to take new ground, let's tap into a new sound over the next 13 weeks. And all of this is for you to take hope-fueled action and to step into something that is Tammy's favorite place to step. And where is that?
The wide open, spacious life. Come on, ladies, let's go.
It's going to be awesome. Let's go. I saw you in your Spartan gear when you said that, like headband on. She has got black paint on her face under her eyes, guys. I mean, she is a warrior woman. Let's go to the wide open, spacious life. Boom. Can you see it? Wilderness women, wild hair, whether it's short, and it might just be because we slept in and so it is gnarly. Right. But girls, here we are. We're taking fresh ground. We're making a new sound, and we're stepping into a new year so that we can ultimately go into the wide open, spacious life. So
yes, let's do it.
Okay, so this one is going to be kind of fun. As we're recording this, we're at the beginning of a brand new year. But when you're listening, it could be that you're just wanting forward movement to step into a brand new season. And, it feels like we have common approaches to how we come in to a new year. A lot of people come in like, I don't know how do you usually approach a new year? Are you a person who loves it? Do you hate it? Is it just another day?
I have mixed feelings about it, actually, because a lot of times I look in the rearview mirror, right? Mm-hmm. What did we accomplish? What was it like? What were the fails? Those kinds of things. So I tend to do that first before I look at, okay, how am I going to tackle this next year? Because, you have to look at some of the failures and some of the successes to see what worked and what didn't. So I'm wired like that. And I know a lot of people do the one word thing, and I have a really hard time narrowing it down to one word. And so
it feels like a prison to me if you get stuck on just one word. I do like one word, but I always start adding phrases.
Right. And I have tried the one word, and there's been times that it's been really helpful. And then other times that I'm just like, no. Yeah. So it just depends. I have a variety of ways of doing that.
It's funny. I was talking to my daughter, and it was a really random conversation, but we were talking about how sometimes when you step into a new year, there can be this feeling of letdown because there's like everybody's got their goals and everybody has their plans and their SMART goals, and everybody just seems like they have their crap together. And so you feel disappointed because maybe you don't have your stuff together. And so you kind of start out with like, oh, am I missing something? And I can think of so many times that I've been there. But that was an interesting conversation of how young she's catching that what we see happening. And I don't remember growing up experiencing the adults in my life living with this New Year's pressure of like, there wasn't vision board parties and they weren't like, I've got to have all these. They probably had resolutions, but the pressure of what social media has created through
That's
this.
a good point, because I don't remember that either.
Right? I mean, so if that's
I do wonder if the social media culture has really shifted that, because I don't remember. Now, job related, yeah. But not like just personal life and all of that.
We've like gamified and gamified everything that we do in life as a result. And no wonder we are stressed out and anxious. And, but I do think that there are just common approaches that we come into a new year. And ladies, I don't know how you're stepping into this new season or this new year. You might relate to what we were talking about. I also think sometimes I have approached New Year's from an apathetic place. So, the apathetic would mean that maybe your life has been really heavy. There has been disappointments that have piled up. There has been wave after wave that have hit the shores of your life over the past several years. And so a new year feels more like, why bother?
Right. And you might even be afraid to hope again.
Right? Yeah.
Because the last year or the last several years have just been way too hard, and hope sounds scary and just painful.
Yeah.
And so you're like, no, I'm out.
And why desire something new? Because I've been there, tried that, and nothing ever changes for me. So low hope equals I won't be disappointed because I can't handle one more. Ladies, if you were there, we want you to know we see you. Both Tammy and I have approached New Year's like that before too. We have felt that. There's also what I would call the ambitious. These are our willpower warriors. I kind of more line up here the planners. Like nothing makes me more happy than a new planner. And for those of you who are planner geeks, I just need to have a quick celebration. I need you to come into this moment and have a party with me. I did not change my planner for the entire year. I stuck to one in 2025. It's like a miracle.
That's big. That's really big.
I know. And I want to save it because it's so pretty. It's falling apart, right? It's falling apart. I used it kind of as a journal anyways, I don't want to digress here, but these ambitious willpower warriors are people who come in, they've got the new goals and the new year for a new me. This might be the camp of the visionaries. And, so we come in apathetic, we come in ambitious. And also, last year, I had this huge shift in my life, and I know you did too, and both of our shifts are a little bit different. So how did you approach New Year last year, and what did that kind of leave your year with?
Well, I started personally with 3 things, and I was like, surely I can be consistent at 3 things. And one of them was pretty superficial. Just I'm going to organize one closet space in my house once a week. And
simple enough.
I did not do that. I did some, but nothing like that. But it was something that I really wanted to do. And the other one was just to walk every single day for 90 days. And the reason I wanted to walk was because I needed fresh air. I needed my body to move. Mm-hmm. You guys have heard me talk about, if you've been listening, that, my body tanked, my thyroid tanked, and hormones and all that stuff. And it was really hard to move, even just physically painful. And so I wanted to move. It didn't have to be a lot, which is a lot for me, releasing that it had to be a certain amount. And just know it was going to be at least a mile a day. And it didn't have to be all at one time. It just needed to be. And it's 20 minutes out of my day.
Yeah.
22 minutes out of my day, right? And so it's like, okay, I can do this. Well, my husband decided to join me in that. Mm-hmm. And I am proud to say that we walked every single day last year as a result of that.
Did you walk over a mile sometimes?
Yes.
So could you officially make 2025's soundtrack of the year. And we did walk 500 miles and we just walked 500 more.
Yes, because we did more.
See? I mean, this is good. That was the theme
awesome.
of Tammy's year, guys.
There you
Let's
go.
celebrate you in that.
Yeah. But one of the things that I learned was sometimes you just need to add one intentional thing and keep it realistic. So 90 days was realistic. And God just kept using that in my head over and over all year long.
Yeah.
And so even when I was tempted to go ahead and quit because I had already accomplished the 90 days, but in the back of my head, I told my husband out loud as well. And he is a very disciplined person. And he kept us to the year because there's times that I would have not done it.
Yeah.
But now it's like this pattern built in because we've done it. And so that wasn't a highly spiritual thing,
Yeah.
but it was something that my body needed.
Yeah.
And something that God reminded me of this morning was, hey, are you willing to cooperate with your healing? And that was one of the ways that I cooperated with my own healing in this last year.
And I
How
would
about
say,
you?
you said it's not spiritual, like it wasn't necessarily spiritual, it was just kind of a practical goal. But honestly, when we're making goals that are in alignment with our current capacity rather than what the world is doing, which we're going to get into, I think that is spiritual, right? Because it impacts everything. And so you approach the new year from a place where pressure wasn't your driver.
Right.
Performance wasn't your driver.
Right.
You just had this one simple thing. And maybe that's what you need to hear. You don't have to accomplish it all, ladies. You can just accomplish one thing at a time. For me, I had this huge shift, and mine is going to go more into the spiritual. But remember, I come in as the ambitious, smart goal. I got to achieve the thing and check off all the things. And, you know, I fail a lot of them. And I would hit goals, but often what I carried so often, Tammy, because of the performance that I was pushing into, like I had to do this, I just felt stressed out, anxious. And I think that, ladies, this is also why we end up, fizzling out by February, is because we come out the gate like that, us ambitious ones.
But February fizzle, that's a good one.
Yeah, the February fizzle, shizzle my nizzle. Anyways, okay. But the change for me that I wanted to bring to you guys is I started out last year with a friend of mine. She's kind of a spiritual mother to me. And we watched this video. And basically, there were two questions. And I'm telling you, I threw out everything, every single thing that I normally walk into the new year with, except my planner. And I'm not getting rid of that. But first of all, I kept feeling like God was saying to me before I leaned into this video, what if this is the year that everything changes? Because remember, I had been walking through an 8-year wilderness season prior to this. What if this is the year everything changes? It gave me just enough hope to maybe get back in the car again. You know what I'm talking about? Like, okay, just enough. And then I heard a friend who rumbled with the year before, what if you gave up all of your plans for the chance of being surprised by God? So here I was, what if everything changes? And Sunny, your strategy has to change if what happens in your year changes. So I'm going to call you to give up all your plans at the one chance of being surprised by me. And I thought, is it worth it to me? Yeah, it was. So I watched that video with a friend, my spiritual mom that I was telling you about, the questions that it opened up with. Like, it's like God was leading the way with questions, right? He's a mighty counselor. He is a coach of all coaches. And the question was, how am I known in heaven? And so I spent the first week of last year focusing on, who does God say that I am? Who am I in God's kingdom? Not what the world, not who I feel like I want to be, but how am I known in heaven? And I'm not going to dive into how I did that activity. If you want to know how I did and what that looked like, please reach out to us. I'm glad to tell you. There's no hidden strategy here, but how am I known in heaven? God, how do you see me? And then how will I show up on earth as a result of how I am known in heaven? I'm telling you, this changed everything, because what I did say is, I know who I am. I wrote out those statements. And how will I show up on earth? Well, I knew, here's one example, that I am a carrier of hope. I also knew that I'm a catalyst of transformation and that God has given me a voice, right, that cuts and penetrates. That's who God has made me to be. My mouth is like a sharpened sword. So I knew that there was something that I would do in the earth, since I'm known in heaven in this way, something that I would do in the earth that would match up with who I am called to be. So I knew when the idea of podcast came up that that was something I would do in the earth. Spreading hope, wild hope, that's a yes for me. That's a heck yes, because I know how I'm known in heaven. This matches up, so I say yes, how I will walk that up out on earth. And essentially, whenever we know who we are, it impacts how we know we are supposed to live. This grounded me in purpose and service rather than performance-based, just performance and pressure, you know?
Yeah.
And I dove into the year wanting to know God more, not by like, I'm going to read my Bible for this many practices a day. It was just like, I want to know you more so that I might know more who you made me to be and how you might want me to show up in this world. So anyways, it was so different. And my year, I got to the end of it and went, I had two aims as a result of that. I wanted to spread hope in the world. We had a podcast. Check. I hit the goal. The next thing was I wanted family dinners. And I was like, oh, I could create those. We made Sunday nights family dinners. Our older kids come home and we did that all year. And so why did I accomplish these things? Well, because I approached it in a brand new way. And so did Tammy, right? The way it played out was different. But here's what Tammy and I know to be true. How we approach forward movement in our life, it matters. It matters. How you approach a new year, how you approach forward movement, it matters. And so we want to have a conversation today with the things that sometimes we attempt to move forward with, how those are actually working out for us. And we'd like to suggest a new way of taking forward movement in your life. So Tammy, let's start with how, you know, when you think of the motivations or the things that we often move forward, like we attempt to move forward with, what comes to your mind about what often drives us?
Oh, what drives us? One of the things that drives us, and I've heard this repeatedly and I do it myself, is the shoulds. I should be doing this. I should care about this. I should be, you know, and I know that that is a driver for a lot of people.
Like obligation.
Oh, yeah. Seriously. And there's so many things about that I like want to say. And
yeah, and
I don't know, what are some other things?
Let's talk about that should. We're going to put a pin in that because I think that is probably one of the biggest things I see in women. And when I say I see it in women, basically, I mean, I've lived that too. I think we move in response to pressure, to fear, to the expectations of others, trying to
ourselves. Oh, I was going to say to get the approval of others, right?
Yeah. Competition, comparison, you know, fill in the blank, ladies. What's coming to your mind? What are you often fueled by?
Right.
And when we move forward with these misguided motivations, it's not helping us. Remember, we said how we approach forward movement in our lives matters. And when we're approaching it from the wrong place, we slip into traps. And maybe you have fallen into one of those. I fell into all three of these, okay? First, I need you to know the world is selling BS right now, and there's no other way to say it. You do not manifest your own destiny, period. That is a trap.
I agree with that.
That is a
Totally.
trap. And what do you think that means, Tammy? When I say manifest our own destiny, where do you see people fall into this trap?
Well, you and I talk about this whole idea, if it's to be, it's up to me, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, I have to make it happen. If I don't do it, nobody's going to do it. And so I either speak it into existence, I work my tail off until it happens, and it is totally on me.
Oh,
to make it happen.
the speak it into existence thing. I mean, how many of you have tried affirmations? You looked in the mirror like Stuart Smalley, and you were like, I mean, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, doggone it, people like me. But the world is now telling you to look in the mirror and say, I have a house in a forest, and it is and I have success, and I have, and we're saying these things, and then we wonder, I spoke those every single day, but the outcome I was hoping for, it didn't happen.
Right.
That's because you don't manifest your own destiny. And I don't know about you, I don't want a life that if I manifested, and this is actually, my daughter said this. She said, I don't want to manifest my own destiny. And I said, why? She said, because I don't want the pressure to keep up with what I built. Right. Like I'm in charge. And I was like, oh boy, that will preach, right? I don't want the pressure of having to run and command every part of my life. Now, we are called to govern and steward our lives.
Right,
and this is why well-intentioned people fall into these lies, right? Because I don't know the difference sometimes between that whole self-help place, Tammy, of if it's to be, it's up to me, and also like just this passive, it's up to God only. And in the middle of there, I feel like sometimes the pendulum swings and I get stuck in those places.
The thing that I use to guide that line is how am I cooperating with God's plan in my life? And so it's about me cooperating.
Yeah.
And me joining him in that. And so it's not me passively sitting saying, God, make this happen for me, but it's how am I joining him there? Where is he working that I can join him because of who he made me to be?
It's the active participant kind of thing. Yeah. And I think that is what came to mind when you said that is like parked car syndrome, where we can't sit in the car and say, Jesus, move this vehicle. He's like, girl, you got keys, start the car and start driving. I once heard somebody say that it is easier to steer a moving car than it is a parked one. Don't be the parked car syndrome. And I think because of my fear of that, I'm like, if it's to be, it's up to me. Jesus, get in the trunk. I got this, right? I'm not like, Jesus, take the wheel. I'm like, you're back there. I'm good. We're driving. But the parked car syndrome is basically modeling passivity, is you're expecting God to do it all for you. And maybe it's about starting your car, starting the drive and trusting. If you're headed in the wrong directions, if you are seeking God, he will be found by you. He's not a hide and seek God. He's a seek and find God. So you start driving and boom, he's like, actually, Sonny, turn right up here. That's the wrong way. Okay, perfect. I stay in such connection with God. I turn right when he says turn right, but I'm in movement. So, and here's a big one that we were talking about. Tammy and I've been talking a lot about, but shame or lack-based goals are traps that we fall in this time of year. Have you ever set a shame-based goal or a lack-based goal?
Yes. When you're saying I should take better care of my health, I should lose weight, I should, as women, we tend to do these kinds of things. And for me, I'm not a big dieter. And so that's not been, mine has been more, I should get in shape. So
like obligation driven.
Obligation. Yeah. Because I should take better care of my body, because after all, it's the temple of God, right?
Do you think so? Is that the same as, I just want to ask, is obligation driven goal the same as a shame based goal?
I think of obligation when it comes to like, I signed up for this thing, so I should do it even if I don't want to do it. Whether it's physical or even just volunteering or, something that I should do for, I don't know, they're probably similar.
Like similar. And yeah, because when I view a shame goal, I go, is that more of like, I'm not enough, I failed, I didn't measure up. But you know what we're getting at here is actually shame might be the root of the obligation. Maybe shame is where should is birthed.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
That's a keeper there. Let's say that again.
Shame is where should is birthed.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been there a lot. I mean, shame-based goals are, I'm not measuring up would be my, like I thought I should be in a certain place by a certain year of my life. So
Yeah.
you might base it by shame, which is the equivalent of going for a run and boxing your head at the exact same time. It's just insanity. And if
I didn't do enough.
I didn't do
more.
enough.
Come on.
You're so stupid.
And I would say that I would pick myself up by the scruff of my neck and pull myself off the couch.
Yeah.
So same kind of thing. You're fighting against yourself, right?
Yeah. And no wonder
Part of that.
Fizzle February. No wonder Fizzle February comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and shame at its core, if we want to try and recognize it when it shows up, it says, I'm not enough. I'm bad. I am defective in some way. I'm flawed. And so therefore I must prove myself. I must do this. I must do that.
Be better. Have more.
Right? Yes. And so just to recognize it when it shows up is super important as well. And I like to say that shame speaks in absolutes. So if you hear yourself, so it's like, you never do this. You always fail at this. Why even bother? Because it doesn't matter anyway. So shame always speaks in absolutes. There's no gray, no room there.
This is good. This is good stuff. I'm journaling while you talk. It's good. So we're talking about approaches, misguided motivations. We're talking about the way forward movement is happening in some of our lives and why it's not happening. You can probably fill in the blank on some of the ways you would, the traps that you have fallen into. But what's at stake with all of this? Like, what are we missing out on by any of these?
Oh, we're missing out on peace. We're missing out on joy. We're missing out on that wild hope, right?
Yeah. Opposite of spacious.
We're missing out on connections with God, with people, because we're so focused on these things. And so we're actually being robbed of a lot of things.
Well, and we're circling the wagons, and it's that level of insanity. It's like every year repeats itself. We're setting ourselves up for a Groundhog's Day life, right? Where you're just repeating the same thing over and over and over again because you're being driven by things like that. That is like, what's it costing you? That's what I thought of when you said peace. That is a lack of peace. There is pressure. There is exhaustion. There is no wonder we move to apathy, right? The disappointments we set ourselves up for. So Tammy and I'd like to suggest a new approach this year or this season that you step into. Because see, true lasting forward movement, remember we said forward movement, how you approach it, it matters. And true lasting forward movement, it doesn't come from pressure proving or self-help efforts. It doesn't. So what if we tried a new approach? We moved from the apathetic and from the ambitious to what we're going to call the expectant. And this is how you move into a new season from a new place, expectancy. And when I say expectancy, I'm talking about hope. Standing on tippy toes with anxious expectation that God just might surprise you this year. Can you picture that? Imagine a child waiting for their dad to come home. They're on tippy toes looking out the window, right? Like, when is he going to come? Or a kid waiting for Disneyland. Is it time yet? Is it time yet? That expectation of, what if God could surprise me this year? And we're going to suggest a couple of ways to do that. The first one we're going to dive into today, Tammy and I have been talking about, how do we live from revelation instead of from resolutions? How do we do it?
Oh, yeah, good question, Sunny. How do we do that?
I don't know. We thought it was a good idea. I thought you had the answer.
Well, and isn't revelation just like that aha, like we get to hear a different, fresh perspective from God? And so it's not about what we can do. It's really about, God, what do you want me to do? Open my eyes, open my heart. Help me to hear your voice more clearly and in a different way. So just, are we listening so closely for God to align ourselves with Him and what he has for us as a unique person
Yeah.
and operate from that. I love the shift that you and God did this last year.
Yeah.
And so helpful. And that's what we're talking about, is that revelation of, no, who do you say that I am? Who did you make me to be? And how do I step into that?
Yeah. Revelation over resolution, responding to what God is revealing in his word. And I'm going to be honest with you, and we're not going to go here too long, but some of you might be afraid of that, of like, well, God doesn't talk to me the way he talks to you and Tammy. So I'm not even going to go there. Well, you know what? If you cross your arms, nobody can talk you into leaning in with expectation, right? This has to be a decision that you make. And if you seek God with all of your heart, he will be found by you. If he's silent for a moment, then he's silent for a moment. Let's not make that a thing. Let's not assign reasons why God is silent. Let's just let it be and trust that if we're the people who come in with expectation that God is going to speak to us, he's going to speak. And you don't have to expect an audible voice, but God gave us his word. And so I'm going to dare to say, if you are not yet a person in God's word, if you want to hear from God, you can't do that apart from his word. You've got to be rooted there this year. So if we're going to move from revelation over resolution, this is saying God is leading, not me and my self-help efforts. And this is where Tammy and I tried to start this entire ministry. You want to know how to live with expectancy? Try prayer before strategy. Prayer before strategy. I mean, we came in with a lot of plans, didn't we, Tammy?
We did. And both of us have strategy. And so a lot of times we get hung up on trying to strategize our way through things. And then there's times it's like, no, let's just stop. Let's pause. Let's pray. And so then we came up with, no, we're going to pray before we strategize, right? And you would think that's obvious. But sometimes we just get into talking and going, and it's really hard to slow down because we've got ideas popping off and all that kind of stuff. And then pretty soon we're like going in circles because we're strategizing our way around this mountain, right? And we're like, oh, we're kind of stuck, God. And so, yes, we're going to stop and we're going to pray and we're going to talk to you and help us to see clearly what you want us to do in this situation or with this thing that you're entrusting us with or whatever. And so, yeah, it's been a challenge sometimes, though.
Yeah, more than I thought it would be, actually. We were like, prayer before strategy sounds like a good idea. Let's make that our guiding principle. And then we were like, oops, we forgot to pray again. No wonder I'm living with stress and all that. But I mean, the bottom line is that we all have our plans. And I know you were diving into God's word a bit about this of we have our plans, but God establishes our steps.
Yes. Yes. That's in Proverbs, by the way.
Yeah. So, and then to have an expectant posture into forward movement, it means that you're going to need to shift your should. Shift the should, right? No more obligation, no more of the should. Tammy, how do we do that practically?
So one of the practical ways you can do it is this is a little test. And insert instead of I should, say I want to, and see if that thing that you want to do still holds up. So am I still going to do it because I want to? If it's only because I should, that's going to fall away and you're like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Right? And so that will be a good test. It's a litmus test.
It reminds me, there was this rank I wanted to hit, right? But I felt like I should hit it because it was the next rank that I was supposed to hit in my business, for a season. And when I made that shift and said, do I want to become, fill in the name of the thing? The truth was I didn't want to. Right. I saw people who had that rank and I saw their lives and that was like way too much stress for me. I did not want to. Yeah. I just thought I should. Do you know how freeing that was to be like, cool, I don't want to do it? So shift the should. No wonder I wasn't on tippy toes. I was looking into somebody else's life of what I should accomplish. So shift your should.
And that can be at work. That can be with your family. That could be that you should have your kids and all of these things. But the truth is your family can't do that. You don't want to because you
No.
value something else instead.
Right. We're all unique human beings. So quit goaling your life and gamifying your life after somebody else's plan. Shift the should or shut the should up. Okay. And another quick thing is, what if this year we moved from clarity and conviction over compulsion?
Yeah, that's a big one. Compulsion is the sister of should. And if you think about it, every time you hear should, then you're driving yourself out of compulsion, this need to prove to someone else or be okay with yourself or whatever. They go together.
Yeah, they do.
They help you spot the other one. And it's like, oh no, I'm doing this out of compulsion because somebody told me I should or because I think I should. So they're kind of sisters. Spot them together.
And compulsion really feels like I'm forcing something, right?
Yes.
Like you're trying really hard, you know? And that brings up another thing that we've been talking about is let's choose to be people who have wisdom before willpower. And the reason I say wisdom before willpower is when you are leaning into a resolution, self-help kind of, my own strategies, my own strength kind of place, your willpower will wane. And yet God does call us to be self-controlled. He does call us to be disciplined and to grow that, right? But willpower is something that we can tap into, but it is not something that we derive from ourselves. Wisdom must come first. And I know wisdom is really important to who you are as a person. If we were to have a life, Tammy, that had wisdom before willpower, what would that change? What would that shift for us? What does that look like?
Oh, well, for one thing, I would recommend to anyone to pray for wisdom every single day. And if you're searching for wisdom, read Proverbs. There's 31 of them. You can read one a day, and it helps you to gain some wisdom in your life. But wisdom is that knowing the right thing to do, but when to do it. And so whether it's the words that you speak or actions you take, wisdom says, not yet. Oh, that's a great thing that you want to do. Let's wait and do that when God says this. So whether it's words or actions.
And Tammy and I hated this one. We did not know what was driving us, but let me tell you, we had a really good idea for a workshop at the new year. And guys, it was a really good idea. And both Tammy and I were fired up. And then we were like, pause. Pray. We asked ourselves some questions. Is this wisdom in light of our capacity, in light of our families, in light of the assignments God has given us? And we both came to the table with, it ain't wisdom. Dang it. Dang it.
I was so bummed.
I know. And I wanted to be mad at somebody, but it was wisdom. And so I'm like, should I be mad at wisdom? Listen, but what that meant is Tammy and I actually got to take some rest over the past several weeks rather than driving. And we never want to ask you guys to do something that we're not willing to do ourselves. And so we're saying this is hard work. And it meant that some of our ideas had to die. Good ideas.
Or wait.
And maybe it's coming. Yeah. Maybe it's just a paused idea.
We don't know.
We don't know. But what we do know is the idea was gold. So,
yes.
Willpower says I have to force my way forward with determination, but wisdom says I yield to God. Willpower and resolutions rely on the self, but wisdom comes from the Lord, and with it, knowledge and understanding. And willpower is often fueled by selfish ambition, but wisdom produces fruit, peaceable, gentle, and full of mercy, which is so opposite of what our selfish ambition produces. Willpower is self-manufactured, but Galatians 5 reminds us self-control is a fruit produced by the Spirit, right? This is not your own. It's something God produces in you. Willpower says, be strong this year. Try harder. Wisdom says it's okay to rest. Your strength comes from God. So, friends, how you approach forward movement, it matters.
It does matter.
And I would love to dive into this new year with a wild hope rising kind of community on tippy toes. Expectation. What if we got surprised by God this year?
And I have a sense that as we lean into this together, that we are going to be surprised by God. Whether it is with baby steps or leaps and bounds, I do have a sense that God wants to have a fresh sound, a new way of doing things. And it's going to be uncomfortable at times because we have our way of doing things, right?
Yeah.
But how have they been working? Have they been working well? Are they leaving you feeling more connected with God, more connected with community, or and have a sense of hope and peace and joy, or feeling depleted, feeling run down, feeling disconnected?
Yeah. It's time for a change, right?
It is time for a change.
And with him, he is able to do infinitely more than we dare ask, think, or imagine. That's Ephesians chapter 3. I think it's verse 21. And let's be reminded with that, it actually says, now to him who is able to do infinitely more than we dare ask, think, or imagine, but we don't leave it there. To him be the glory. See, everything that we do, I want to encourage you to try a life that is not only responding to God's word, but might be leaning into living your life for him, because maybe living for yourself really hasn't been working too well. And like Tammy said, we're here to take fresh ground and hear a new sound. And that is not an ad for a lawnmower. Okay.
You're right.
I'm like, but if you want to borrow that idea, we'll help you have the trademark for your lawnmower business. Fresh ground, new sound. I can see you. You know, this is for Kyla. If you are listening because she listens on her lawnmower, oh my gosh, I just connected that. I love it. Fresh ground this year. Ladies, let's take fresh ground. Let's lean into a new sound and let's just see what might happen. Well, thanks for being with us today. We can't wait to be with you again next week. My prayer is freedom will become your story and redemption your song. Now it's time to take hope-filled action. And if today's episode spoke to you, please don't keep it to yourself. Like, subscribe, and share, and help us grow this community. Thanks for listening to Wild Hope Rising. Until next time, keep stepping boldly into the spacious life you were created for.